initiative. Okay. And you remember, I mean, now let's tie it with BBI. The principle in BBI was that we need to accommodate regional representation. We need to bring Kenyans together. Now, bringing Kenya together in the lingua of this political class in Kenya is picking appointment from regions and therefore bringing them into government. And that is what they call simplistically inclusion. That's not inclusion. It's about, because if you look at, for example, the chief administrative secretaries that he has appointed, all of them are failed politicians. All. Not a single technocrat. In fact, point out to me any single technocrat in that list of 53. There's none. So the president has also gone against the will and the letter, the spirit of the constitutional letter of the law.
What is a failed politician? You know, there are people who participated in an election and they did not win the election.
Yes.
There are many others in that list of CASs who did not vie for elective seats.
Yeah, but larger because
how would you call them failed politicians?
They were his political supporters. And the truth for the matter is, unless you now want to feign blindness, you must be able to see that these are people who are supporting the president full time. And you see, and for
okay,
me, one of the things that...
But that's not a failed politician.
Well, fair enough. I mean, okay. I haven't really even bothered to thrash out but I know largely there are many of them ex-governors, whatever, this and that. They tried to be in Senate, they tried to go to Parliament, they failed. So anyway, be that as it may, it is still very unconstitutional that he now expands the national executive. And the reason I'm going back to TCT's, proverb from Mali, in 2022 we were promised many things. We will not borrow. We will run a lean government. We'll do this and that. But we don't hear that anymore. We don't also hear that, there's a Mama Mboga or a hustler or a boda who has been appointed into cabinet or into government. Because there are many of them who with the degrees. So that if someone like President William Ruto, with all the intelligence machinery, he could actually investigate and find out if there's actually a Uber guy who drives even with 2 degrees. That's a hustler. And that's a man with qualification or a woman with qualification. I will easily appoint to the cabinet. Then I will live to the true promise I gave them that this will be a hustler government. A hustler government cannot go on burning money you do not have. You do not say I'm gonna spend 800 million shillings in buying cars. I mean, as if you didn't have a car in the first place, or as if government did not have cars. How is that a hustler nation? So I think City's proverb sits very well with our political context. And yes, I smell BBI because this idea of bipartisan dialogue inside Parliament is already a red herring for me. Why do I say that? Because the issues we are talking about, cost of living, cannot be resolved on a round table or in a boardroom. This requires some serious economic, fiscal policies to be in place. It requires us to fix issues to do with the Financial Act. And if I were to take you back to the idea of a lie, in 2019, the people who are now drumming up support for a reduction of the cost of living were actually in Parliament when, for example, VAT on petroleum was actually increased. And that is what drove the cost of living high. So today, Azimio cannot come out clean and say, we were not responsible. Remember, it was during the handshake government that the cost of living actually went up. And I recall Raila Amolo Odinga himself, just several months before the election, defending the government, viciously defending the government. I remember him using the words, wacheni kubweka bweka kama mbwa. Cost of living is not only unique to Kenya. Now that he did not form the government, now he's turning around to say the cost of living, this government is responsible. No, they are all responsible for the situation Kenya is in right now. And furthermore, I don't see any good that will come out of these bipartisan talks inside Parliament. Most of MPs I've spoken to will tell you that there's nothing good that can come out of Parliament. Parliament has already been compromised. Ruto is busy buying opposition MPs. That's why you see the Jalangos, the Professor Ojendas and others, being even scared of going back to their hoods.
What is buying?
Well, this is the language they use themselves. They have told me that Parliament has been bought. It's been compromised. Last week I was in a show similar to yours with a member of Parliament whose name let me not mention. He said, I couldn't forget about anything that came out of Parliament. And I say this because, there are three cardinal duties of a member of Parliament. To represent the constituencies that actually sent you to Parliament, to pass legislation, and to oversight government. Yes, if the cost of living is high, Eric City, why have we not seen a single motion being tabled in Parliament to address this cost of living? Why have we not seen a statement being issued by, say, the leader of majority or leader of minority on the floor of State House, and let's debate that statement? We don't see that. Instead, Parliament wants to meet on this by partisan. In fact, we should make this, if there is need for this, which